Big news from our friends at Kravet Inc. They are opening new showrooms all over the place. This winter, the West Palm Beach showroom is opening in Florida, and they've recently opened showrooms in Birmingham, Charleston, Watermill, New York, and right here in the good old Jersey in Basking Ridge. In fact, I'm going to be at the Basking Ridge showroom on January 21st, 2026. So put it in your calendar and just wait for me to give you that RSVP information when it's ready. The thing to know about Kravet showrooms is they're not your average showrooms. These are real working spaces filled with furniture, fabric trim, carpet, wall covering. But here's the thing, all laid out the way you work. Sometimes we work by category and sometimes we work by color. But either way, they have figured out a way to have it at your fingertips. With cutting edge tech to make sourcing faster and easier, it's like your design brain finally met its happy place. So check it all out. Go to one of the showrooms, go to Kravet.com, get your designer account set up. And if you're in the Jersey area, I'd love to see you in January in Basking Ridge. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Loloi Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. In today's sponsored show, I have the privilege of sitting down with Cyrus Loloi, co-founder of Joon Loloi, a source for home furnishings, from rugs to lighting to furniture to art and decor. Now, if you've been in the industry for more than a hot minute, you already know the name Loloi. They are a legacy brand, a powerhouse in the rug industry, founded by Cyrus's father, Amir Loloi, back in 2004. They're a staple at High Point and in design studios across the country. They've been a long-standing, thriving, trade-exclusive source for artisan rugs. So, when Cyrus reached out about the newer sister company, Joon Loloi, I was intrigued. And when he shared that unlike Loloi, Joon Loloi is not a trade-only resource, I was a little confused at first. However, it quickly became apparent why Joon Loloi is a great resource for you and why sometimes you prefer shopping from a brand like Joon Loloi rather than always from a trade exclusive option. So today, Cyrus is here to share why he and his brother Stephen decided to strike out in this new direction while still remaining committed to the original brand Loloi, and how the brands both maintain top tier quality in all of their products and in the way they work with trade professionals. So we'll also hear about Joon Loloi's story, their designer collaborations, and why you should enroll in their trade program. Let's get to it. Hey, Cyrus, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hey, Luann, it's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm really looking forward to learning about not only some of the legacy of the Loloi brand, but this new thing that you are starting, Joon Loloi. And I think probably a good place to start is, of course, I've been to High Point many times, so I see your showroom and I see all the beautiful product, but maybe we've got people in the audience that have not been to a market, Vegas market or wherever, where they might have seen your product or familiar with Loloi. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the Loloi Legacy Company first, Joon Loloi? How do you want to get this started, Cyrus?
Yes, absolutely. I think starting with Loloi is a good beginning. So Loloi was founded by my father, Amir Loloi, in 2004. And he really has a fascinating history. He's actually in the industry for 25 years before that. He immigrated from Iran when he was just 16 years old. He worked full-time during high school, full time during college, and he didn't know any English. He worked in Burger King, worked in the back, flipping burgers, and he would negotiate with his manager and say, "Hey, let me work in the front so I can learn English and be a cashier and make a quarter more an hour than I would in the back," right? And then eventually he was, selling ice cream in different neighborhoods in Dallas, some not so great neighborhoods sometimes, but he always had that hustle, that ambition, that immigrant mentality that I think permeates through the Loloi culture today, and is something that we're really proud of as a family and as a company. Um, so yeah, he eventually took a leap of faith and built Loloi in 2004. It was just him and four other employees that he had hired, and he bootstrapped the whole thing financially himself. And I remember I was just 16 years old when he started Loloi. My brother was 18, and he would regularly work, holidays, weekends. He would go to the office on a Sunday.
Wow.
He would travel to India or Turkey, wherever I had to go for 3 weeks at a time.
Mm.
Didn't matter. I think he had this mentality of, I've burned the boats. I put all my savings into this thing.
Wow.
We have to make it. There's no plan B.
Wow.
And so Loloi was born from that mentality and that entrepreneurial spirit. And eventually my brother and I joined the company when we graduated college, and it's been a fantastic ride now, 21, almost 22 years later.
So I have a couple of questions in there. So you said, first of all, that your dad was in the industry. So we have the whole beginning years, immigrant, not knowing English, doing whatever he could. But then there was a period of time that he was in the industry before he started Loloi. What did he do in that? What was that experience like?
He worked at another wholesale rug company, and he
Gotcha.
started from the bottom there too, and in sort of a fairly entry level sales role. And he tells, our entire team, he's like, "Hey, look, like in your role, like do what you're asked and then some." And so
Mm.
you know, he would drive to clients' homes, designers' homes, and help install the rug, get to know them, do whatever it really took to not only, fulfill the order, but also earn their respect
Mm.
and sort of uh, earn that repeat business that you can get. So those are some of the values he's always had and how he always tries to operate and what he tries to instill in the rest of the team. But yeah, eventually he worked his way up as one does in a company if they're performing well. He eventually became, I guess, president of the organization, you could say. And then, yeah, it was my mom who pushed him and said, "Hey, look, it's you're capable. You can do
Wow.
this. Um, let's go for it." And I think with her support, knowing it was going to be a big risk, um, I think he had the confidence to go forward and do it.
That's a good observation on your part, right? Because your dad could be sitting there thinking, I know I'm capable of doing it. But if you don't have the spouse's support, then all those nights and weekends and all those trips and everything all become, why are you doing that? As opposed to, we're in this together. And I might not be the one running around doing everything side by side, but I'm doing other things. And that's really important because it keeps you healthy, happy, and sane so that you can do those things, right?
That's 100%. That's 100% right. And as I get older now, I do appreciate the role that my mom played more and more, even though it's probably a little more behind the scenes. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. It's so true, right? It's until you now start to do all of those things and you see, oh, yeah, that didn't seem like a lot, but it was a lot. That helped. It's like, even if it's just, like you said, somebody looking at you going, you got this, right? That's really important when your spouse believes in you, right?
very underrated in business. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So now the other question I had in all that, which is all this personal stuff, I just like to get into the weeds on it, is you said that after college, you and your brother joined the company. So I imagine my brain goes to, like, all of us that are entrepreneurs, family businesses. We've got our kids in stock rooms and answering phones when they're in high school too, right? But and I'm assuming you guys did all of that. But when you went after high school, did you either of you take jobs in other companies first, or did you come right into Loloi?
I did.
Yes.
So if you know me, and even if you knew me back then, especially a little more introverted kid, um, my first job, I graduated in 2010. I was selling software door to door in San Francisco.
Oh my gosh.
Just talk about just getting thrown in the deep end. But I graduated during, like, the Great Recession. These were the jobs that were available on the market, and I just had, my father's voice in the back of my head, outwork everybody else, be entrepreneurial, and I was able to outperform everyone on those respective, they call the street teams. We get little bonuses if you sign up the most businesses, and I use that to justify cabs that I would pay out of pocket so I can cover town faster than anyone else. And eventually, they let the street teams go, but they absorbed me into headquarters because they said, "Hey, this kid, well, we've got to figure something out for him.
Yeah, don't lose him. We got a good
He's
one.
yeah, he's got the right mindset for this." So I did that for about a year and a half, and then I was like, "Hey, I want to build an actual career." At that point, Loloi was 7 years old. Certainly a respectable company at that point, but not, I think, one of the more premier brands in the space that we've grown into today. But absolutely no regrets. I've had great learning experience. Traveled the world, met so many great customers and people along the way, and
Mm,
got to put my own sort of spin on the industry as well.
mm. I have to say, not, my one daughter and her husband have bought our company. We started it in '82. They sold it to them 3 years ago. It was never, she never was taking over this company. It wasn't like she grew up and said, I'm going to, right? When she met her husband and blah, blah, blah. And now there's interest. But I have to say, I can't tell you that I would have been smart enough to say, even if she said, I want to come and work in the company after she graduated college, or if any of the four kids had wanted to, I can't tell you that I would have been smart enough to say, you got to go work somewhere else first. But in hindsight, with the many legacy companies that I've interviewed through the podcast and now seeing the benefit of her and her husband having worked for other companies, I think even a year makes a difference, whether it's a year or 3 or 5, because it does it does kind of like, it brings in ideas from other companies, because here we are, we're the legacy company, the parents running it the way we've always run it. So what do we not know? We don't know. But I also do think there's something to having deadlines and accountability to another company that's not your mom or dad. So you recognize, no, this is how it works. Like, you have to do the things, right?
That's 100% right. And in the early years, I think, to his credit, he gave my brother and I a lot of grace, and
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm
now
sure
he
he
feels
did.
like, now that we're 15 plus years in the industry, that it's paid off for him. But you'd have to ask him, maybe.
I'm sure it has. I mean, it's clear his work ethic, he instilled it in you. I'm sure if I talked to your brother, it would be the same. But there is just that level of, yeah, I know what it's like on the outside of a family business, and it's good inside here. It's good. I have to work hard, but it's good.
That's right.
Yeah. So now we've got, your father, and he's got this company, and he's turned it in a minute into a national, international known brand. I mean, it's funny for me to find out that it only started in 2004, because I feel like I've always known about it, right? So that's an amazing thing to build. Forget in one generation, but only in a half a generation. Like 20 years is a half a generation of work. And so a lot of respect for that. But now you guys, you and your brother, come along, and you're going to take a different lane. You're going to be part of the legacy, but you're taking a little, turn in the road with Joon Loloi. So tell us the philosophy, why, what it is, who it serves, and what's the meaning behind it for you. Why not just a division under? I guess it still is a division under, but why separate it, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Yeah. So, I think Steven and I sort of built like my father. We have that entrepreneurial itch. We wanted to sort of um, express ourselves via this lens of this new brand in the industry. Um, and to be clear, like, Steven and I still spend half, if not more, of our day on the Loloi business.
Right.
So we're very tethered to what we do. for Loloi, and that will never change. Amir Loloi is exclusively focused on just Loloi, but um, Stephen and I sort of, I don't think we sat down one day and had this very formal sort of conversation, but we would have these informal conversations, learning how the industry is changing, how some interior designers are changing in terms of how they prefer to shop, how they prefer to source products. There are many interior designers that source from, to the trade only brands like a Loloi, who's at High Point Market or 200 Lexington or
Mm.
Vegas or whatever it may be. And we understand that model really well, and we serve that model on the Loloi side. What we also noticed was there's an interior design cohort that is digitally native. They want to shop online. They want, transparent pricing. They do want a trade program and trade perks. That always remains important. But we just felt like there's an opportunity to speak to the trade in more modern, sort of novel ways that Loloi is not currently positioned to do.
Hmm.
Um, and then we also, because we have so much free time, we decided, let's, instead of just rugs, let's come out with a total home furnishings offering. So we have furniture, we have lighting, we have decor, we
Whoa.
have art. There's a product roadmap for even more uh, products in the future.
Wow.
And so it was another way to sort of express the brand's values, its design point of view. I feel like people trust the Loloi name, and so we had to be really careful not to, hurt that trust and equity we built up. And so we were very intentional about how we launched and what we're launching with products we'd feel proud of. Um, but yeah, that was sort of some of the mentality around why we made this decision.
So what I'm hearing is, because my brain went to, we have Loloi. It is a trade only resource. So the garden variety consumer can't order from Loloi. And I said to you off air, I'm like, that my audience is trade, not, design enthusiasts and consumers. Why are we having a conversation about Joon Loloi, as amazing as it is, rather than Loloi? And what you answered me was a version of what you just said a moment ago. You were noticing, despite the fact that there's 80,000 interior designers supposedly in the US, and forget about internationally, that as much and as valid as it is to have a to the trade resource only, you were finding there is this wide swath of designers that just want to get online and order it and have their clients see it and they see it and they just order it. Like, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what anybody says. It was a simple fact that you were observing in the marketplace. Is that what you're kind of saying, Cyrus?
100%, and we're seeing that come to fruition now in the business. It's super fascinating to me. There's the interior designers that bought from Loloi that are now buying from Joon Loloi. But what's also incredibly interesting is there is a cohort of designers that have not bought from Loloi, but buy from Joon Loloi.
Isn't that
And so I think
interesting?
that just sort of speaks to like the hypothesis that we had around the value of a sort of digitally native uh, business. And I think designers also like to shop from sources that are new and sort of not as widely discovered yet. I think there's some pride in sourcing something from your product that is very unique and
Yeah.
not something that you see all over Instagram or what have you. And so I think Joon Loloi also has that sort of newcomer's advantage as well. But it's not just us. You see this on, there's like Lulu in Georgia. There's,
Mm,
some of the Williams Sonoma brands. There's the cabinetry brand Isla Porta. That yes, they technically, as a consumer, you can buy them,
right.
but a lot of their business, you get the sense from what you hear and so forth that it's trade driven.
Okay. And so is it the type of thing where what's available to the trade on Loloi is a different product line than what's available on Joon Loloi? It's not just the same product, just with a different price point, because some is consumer facing and with a trade. Is that the truth? Is that a distinction that makes sense?
That's 100% accurate. That was
Okay. So that's good.
super important
Yeah.
to Stephen and I when we were building the Joon Loloi business. That was a non-negotiable, that every single product has to be mutually exclusive
Yeah.
from Loloi. Number one, there's no reason to just launch something that's entirely redundant. And number two, you know, we didn't want to sort of sell from under the retailers and designers that have supported Loloi all these years. So
Right.
Joon Loloi was expensive and difficult to build because we had to do it, everything from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting concept because um, you're right. There are successful models in the industry for this. And there's even models with the bigger design firms where it's, like we've got Shay McGee and Bria Hamill, where if you work with them one-on-one on your projects, or Amber Lewis, one of Loloi's design, collaborations, right? Like if you work with one-on-one with Amber Lewis in her design firm as a design client, great. You're going to get service, quality, all the things, concierge service. But if you're an enthusiast that admires Amber and you're never going to have the ability to hire her, then she has her shop. And so it's a similar principle with different deliverables. You're delivering a quality trade rug only, and then you're delivering the quality rug on the other side. But I love, because I didn't know what you're going to say. And I was like, if he says they're the same thing on different sites, I'm going to have to edit this.
No, no, we would not have launched that into the universe.
I
That
was
is
like, that's
a
a bad idea. And I don't want to.
that is an absolute deal breaker.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so and it's funny because the name Joon, I happen to know what it means because I had the privilege for probably going on 40 years now. WindowWorks has worked with a very high-end luxury designer who is from Iran, and her business. Her husband was in her business. Her daughter was in the business, and it took me a couple of years to catch on that they would use the phrase Joon here and there. And finally, one day after many years, I felt comfortable. I'm like, what is the deal with that? So you tell us what it is.
Yeah, so in Farsi, which is what my parents grew up speaking in Iran and what they still speak to each other today, that means June means dear. It's like a
Yeah.
term of like endearment. You say like Loloi and Joon or what have you. And
Yeah.
so uh, we liked that. We thought it had some historical sort of reference to our family and the brand. And then it was also a bit strategic. So we thought, hey, the new brand needs to have the name Loloi in it.
Yeah.
In the beginning, the new brand's going to gain equity and sort of that goodwill that Loloi has and borrow that in the beginning. But then eventually, when Joon Loloi sort of stands up on its own right, on its own 2 feet, through all the marketing and so forth, and just as it grows and matures as a business, there are people that have heard of Joon Loloi, but not Loloi, ironically.
Yes.
And so I think it'll be a rising tide that lifts all boats.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because now, of course, I'm going to ask questions completely irrelevant, but I'm just curious. Is when you said Loloi and Joon, that's how they used it. It would be Sanam Joon, Farhad Joon. And I was like, well, why is it Joon Loloi then? Shouldn't it be Loloi Joon? I was like, I don't know. What's going on here?
You got me. You got me. I didn't expect this question on the podcast today. But yes, that was also a strategic choice because I was worried that if you call it Loloi Joon, people
People would
tend to
leave
drop
the
the
Joon
second
off. Yeah,
word, and then people be like, well, what is Loloi selling? Like the lines blur.
gotcha.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, you're getting into like the marketing
That's
war
it.
room now.
Okay, I get it. Well, I can see it. I can, and by the way, like if I didn't have this privilege of working with this Iranian woman for almost 40 years, I would have been like, whatever. But I was like, isn't it backwards? So that's awesome. I love it. All right. So talk to me about what do designers need to know about Joon Loloi? So we've got product, we've got what are this somebody, let's take it with somebody who's familiar with the Loloi product line. And I'm sure it's so extensive that being familiar with it is like, haha, because it's probably tens of thousands of products. But what would you say to somebody who's familiar with Loloi? What's the reason to look at Joon Loloi?
Yeah. So I think, if you're familiar with Loloi, hopefully you feel that Loloi is pretty good at what we hear is Loloi is good at introducing products that are novel and fresh, but commercially viable. So nothing just wild that doesn't have a lot of application in today's homes, but at the same time is fresh, feels current, and everything's always at a good value. So even if we offer a hand knotted or hand loomed rug that's relatively high end, it's going to be for what it is. It's going to be offered at a good, fair value.
Hmm.
We try to do the same with Joon Loloi. So even in the new categories that we play in, we want to present ourselves as quality materials, quality craftsmanship, an aspirational sort of presentation in terms of how we position the brand and position the content, position the products. And yet, I think for the value, it's a good, fair uh, value as well. So I think these are sister brands, and as sisters do, they share that DNA.
Right, 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 right. So if I am looking at the two, like again, taking it from the lens that I'm familiar with Loloi, because that will be a good part of our audience, obviously. Is it the type of thing where both brands cover from, say, entry level, like $1,000 for an area rug up to $50,000 for an area rug? Or is it, well, you can get that at Loloi, but at Joon Loloi, we concentrate on this price point in this market? Is it anything like that, or both price points are available in both products?
I would say we have a good, better, best in the
In
rug
both.
category.
Mm.
Yeah, in both companies.
Yep.
In both
Okay.
companies.
Okay.
Um, we have a great product design team and sourcing team that was already here
Yeah.
for Loloi.
Mm-hmm.
And so we didn't have to augment it that much for Joon Loloi. And so,
Mm.
my father, who's personally working on the product development, he's in Turkey right now working on new products. Stephen Loloi, my brother, who's personally involved in product development. We have a great team of about 20 plus designers here.
Wow.
There's that same team that the industry has grown to trust. We're putting our name on the Joon Loloi's business too. And
Yeah.
it was extremely crucial that we feel like anything we put out there in the world, just as we do for Loloi, it's going through tons of rounds of sampling. We're looking at every piece in person first. We're designing all those CADs for the different sizes that each design comes in. We don't farm that out. All those high standards we have, that's the same for Joon Loloi. And then the new categories that Joon Loloi is in, we've hired experienced merchants and product designers to develop those products. And there's a similar high standard there too. We know that, like, unlike another startup, we're not just flying under the radar because of our name in the industry. So it felt
Right.
like everything we do from the very beginning has to
Was
be top notch.
looked at. Yeah, it was going to be looked at. It's a nice double-edged sword. It's like you've got the legacy brand, but then you have to live up to the legacy brand too. Like you can't say, "Aren't we great?" but then not be great, right? So now, but that's the other thing that that's interesting is all the other categories, the lighting, the furniture, the accessories, the art. Like that's a massive undertaking. Like seriously, like I don't know, like did anybody check your head, your temperature? Like what the heck with that, right? That's like a big job, a
Yeah, it
big
was.
departure.
Yeah, I won't lie. It was very challenging to build this.
Any
We had
point
a
your dad said stop, just do rugs, guys. It's fine. Do rugs to retail and to the designer trade that likes to work like this, or was it like, all right, whatever?
his mentality was, hey, I'm here to support you guys emotionally, and obviously there's a financial component also that requires investment. I think we, got to the point in our careers where he trusted our judgment.
Hmm.
We brought him along for the journey at certain milestones, but he was just like, look, like this is a dream you guys have, and I support this vision too. I think he understood. He saw some of the same things that we see
Hmm.
in the industry, and it was like, look, as long as you don't get distracted um, and take your eye off the Loloi business, that let's do this thing. And he knows my nature is we're not gonna half-ass anything. It has to be really well done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. Like, yeah, you're not kids. You're not 20 years old. He's watched you for 15 years, the two of you work in this business. So there's trust there. That's awesome. It's awesome because it is a big thing that you've done. And so kind of like the way your mom looked at your dad all those years ago and said, you got this, right? Same sort of thing.
That's right.
So is it all in stock? Is it like, what does a designer need to know? Like they go to the website, which we will link in the show notes. But is it shipped direct to the consumer? Does it go to a receiver? Like, how does all of that work from a technical standpoint, from a designer thinking about working about with this program?
Yeah, so you just visit JoonLoloi.com, and we have options that are in stock. We offer various shipping options, and we have options that are made to order. So
Okay,
we make some pieces over like a 6 to 8 week period, depending on the piece. Here domestically in the U.S., and there are, for example, like upholstery pieces that are offered in 30 plus fabric colors and styles that you can choose depending on the project or the client need, or what have you. So those are like the predominant product categories. But yeah, in terms of logistics, the same sort of infrastructure we have on the Loloi side in terms of our drop shipping capabilities, all those kind of things that designers need, we're equipped for on the Joon Loloi side also.
so I would have thought, and I don't know, but I would have thought that Loloi brand, since it's to the trade, would have to go to a receiver. It can't go to a consumer's home. Is that not the case? Can a rug from Joon Loloi, from regular Loloi, go directly to a consumer, and so Joon Loloi can as well? Or am I right? Like the Joon Loloi can go to a consumer, but the Loloi is going to a receiver.
Both brands have that capability,
Oh,
because even on the Loloi side, there are not just designers but also retailers that want to drop ship directly to a consumer.
gotcha.
And so on either brand site, you can go in, type in your shipping address, we'll drop ship on your behalf.
Okay.
We take care of that stuff for you.
Now, I got to believe that this doesn't matter to you one way or another, but like say I'm a designer using the Joon Loloi site. So it's quasi retailish, right? I'm getting
Yes,
my trade discount, but it feels quasi retailish. If I have one-off pieces, I can order them and have them sent right to my consumer's home. But if I am doing a reveal install and I am doing a lot of other trade purchasing and I am sending it to a receiver, there's no skin off your nose if I specify the receiver and it gets delivered with the rest of the product. Doesn't matter to you, right?
that's right. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just plug in that receiver's address and we'll ship
Hmm.
it there.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when we go to a receiver, we have a receiver check things, and if they deliver it and it's not right, even though it might have been checked and they missed it, it comes back. When it goes direct to my consumer, I'm using the Joon Loloi site and I'm ordering one rug, one lamp, one sofa. What happens? Like, what company is delivering it? Is it different to all parts of the country? And is it like, am I consumer dealing with it? I'm dealing with it. What happens with that, Cyrus?
Yeah, so if you're, let's say you want us to drop ship something to a client's home directly.
Yeah.
Um, I think what happens there is you plug in the address, and then you can determine whether or not you want to receive the communication from the white glove delivery company, or sometimes if it doesn't require white glove delivery, just the carrier company, or you can choose for the client to receive that information and sort of be responsible for quarterbacking
Gotcha.
all of those things. So it depends on just who's using the site. If it's a consumer, obviously they're not shipping to a receiver. If it's a designer, they need those options. And we also have a great like concierge team that's going to be available to help sort of facilitate some of that complexity as well. That again, a lot of these folks have experience from this stuff from the Loloi side
Yeah.
as well. So they sort of speak this language, and they're not newbies to these logistical demands that these
Right.
quirks that our industry has.
Yeah, 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 right. Is exactly. So now what about from the standpoint of trade? So I think that I read there's a are we advertising the trade discount? I don't remember.
Yeah, it's 20%.
Okay, I thought I read it. So if I am working with a consumer and I'm choosing to use this quasi retail site, am I giving a link to the consumer that's seeing a retail price and my price is 20% less and the consumer's not seeing that? Like how are you working that out?
Yeah, so if the client, or sorry, the designer is sharing these links with their client, it'll show the retail price. It's not going to show it's not going to show the trade price.
Right.
You know, if a client, I guess, is savvy enough and enterprising enough and wants to snoop around and ask ChatGPT and all these tools that are available to us, listen to this podcast, can they find out the discount's 20%? Sure. You know, I think we're just in a world now where these things are a little bit more transparently available than they were a decade or so ago when I
Mm.
first started in the industry. And I think designers are sort of, they're better equipped now, just being like, hey, look, like this is my business model.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are on a cost plus
Yeah.
business model. Some of them are on cost plus time.
Yeah.
Some of them are only time. Some of
Yeah.
them are project fee.
Yeah.
And so I think that tracks with what I was saying in terms of, that's great that we have Loloi. So if you are someone I'm strictly cost plus and I want to maximize the margin on everything I spec,
Mm.
that's great.
You have an answer
And
for that.
we have a very mature to the trade business for you. If you have a model that's a little more hybrid, or what we commonly hear is, hey, I'm doing like 7 rooms in this house or whatever. I mean, this is a large thing. I don't have to maximize my cost plus margin on every single
Right. I can
piece that I
round some
spec.
things out.
I can round because I just love that media
Mm.
console or whatever it may.
Mm.
That's just going to make the product. It's going to look great in the photography. Help me get my next client, whatever it may be. It was easy to. It's in stock. All
Yeah.
those sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
all those
Yeah.
other things, right? All those other things you have to consider, and they're just like, okay, so I like, and I like that. I know when
Yeah.
I was getting my home designed, there was stuff I wanted from trade only brands that I love, and there was stuff that I saw on Pinterest one day. I'm guilty of that too, and I got influenced, and I said, I love that chair, and I
You
don't mind
find
even
that
through my
chair.
trade relationships. I still don't mind paying like close to full retail for that thing because I just love that
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
And so I think this industry is interesting, and there's not just a one size sort of fits all approach to a project or projects.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, question for you. Obviously, the parent brand, we can see at all the markets. So is it that the Joon Loloi brand is not presented in real life at any place and it is strictly an online type situation?
Yeah, right now it's strictly online. Never say never. Allow us to sort of catch our breath from this, from the
Massive
launch and the
launch.
logistics and the content and all those things. And but never say never. But for now, yes, it's
Okay.
digital. Yeah.
But I did read where there is a sampling program. So if there is furniture that they want to order, they can get swatches. I don't know how that would happen with rugs, but for designers listening, what is that sampling program, Cyrus?
Oh yes, yeah. So for any rug that we have, you can order an 18-inch square
Oh, wow.
sample, and then for any upholstered furniture, I'll say almost any upholstered piece of furniture, you can order like a fabric swatch, like most brands offer as well.
Okay. And then is that extend, and it may not, it's okay if it doesn't, but does that extend to like the wood samples and the hardware finishes, or is it just the fabric and the rugs?
Not yet on the
Mm-hmm.
hard finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we have on our roadmap though.
Okay. Okay. Well, look, we all order stuff online. It says walnut, and we kind of know what walnut looks like, right? I get it. you know, I mean, it's to your point, it's a place for a designer to utilize. If a designer is an established firm and he or she has got, a $3 million purchasing budget in a year that they're typically doing, they're probably doing 80% of that, 90% of that truly to the trade. But when you go to round it out like this makes sense to me, right? And then we're not literally looking for the hardware finish on everything because we're not in the primary bedroom on the $20,000, $40,000 piece, right?
I believe one of the biggest misnomers in the industry is assuming that all 80,000 or so designers in the United States shop the same way, think the same way, business model is set up the same way. You know, I believed that the trade would adopt June Loloi not only because of the Loloi legacy, but because of the products and the value and the shopping experience that's offered today on the site, and they have.
Yeah.
And so we are doubling down on the trade experience and building more tools, designing more products, getting more feedback from them, having more conversations with them. And again, I just think it's fascinating that many designers that have not shopped Loloi are shopping June Loloi. And
Isn't that
so
something?
we're just, I think together we're learning.
Yeah.
We're learning as we go along.
Well, I mean, and that is really the way you described it is exactly the truth of it, right? There's 80,000 designers. How many internationally are there? And yeah, there's room in the marketplace for more than, one, two, three, five business models. I mean, we just had a lunch and learn here at WindowWorks this week where we had Wendy Estella, who is my favorite interior design lawyer ever, because she specializes in the industry and she's super down to earth. And she was like, there's 30 or 40 of you here. You probably have at least 10 different business models here. Like, and I'm like, yeah, definitely. And so it is nice that you're providing a lane that's out there, but I think this feels more protected. It feels more, I don't know. I think that when you come from a wholesale to the trade legacy, to your point, you've mentioned a couple of times, respecting that relationship, respecting that legacy. It's not here to exploit it. It's here to serve those who want it in a different way, right?
That's exactly right. I think we're
Yeah.
being transparent about how the businesses are set up and trying to do things the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. So, I mean, this is only what, 1 year launch, two, like, or how long, how recent is this?
Very recent. We launched it December 10th last year,
Oh, so it's just
2024.
coming up
Yeah.
on a year. Yeah, I thought it was pretty new. Yeah. So it's probably way too early to say what does the future bring. We're still working on the present, probably. Right?
Yeah, we're working on the present and the future at the same time. Well, you know how it goes. You have to juggle both, and we have new products on the pipeline. We're continuing to invest in the site experience, make it easier for customers, make that post-purchase experience easier and better. Um, and so this is the way things are in this industry. You cannot take your eye off the ball for a minute. You have to remain focused and keep innovating.
You know what's interesting? I'm curious if you have any aha moment or even just a, oh yeah, thought. 15 years experience you have in the industry. And of course, it's more than that, sitting at the dinner table with your dad all these years and working, I'm sure, in different parts of the business when you were younger. In the last year, is there anything that surprised you that you were like, whoa, didn't see that coming? Like, and it could be a little thing or a little aha or something that you had to overcome or something that you and your brother went, okay, plan B, or what's a different way around that? Like, I let you think because I didn't prep you with it. So, for example, I'll give you my aha. So I run a business with my husband from 1982, and I start this podcast in 2016. And I am a rational, intelligent person. I know how to run a business. I'm good at business. I do this. He's not at all involved. And it takes me a good, I would tell you, 6 months till I have the awareness, probably going on 2 years before I crack the nut on he's the driver. He's the driver. I'm the idea person and he's the driver. And so it was this awareness of that for the last 35 years before I left that business full time, that yeah, I came up with a lot of ideas along the way, but all I had to do was have an idea and have him okay it, but then he would drive it. He would get it. Okay, here's the first step and here's the second step. And I didn't recognize until I was the one with the ideas and I wasn't necessarily driving as fast and things weren't getting into action. And I had to come up with and have a sit down with myself going, girl, you're one person. You don't have this guy over there, and I didn't even realize that it was a dynamic is what I'm saying until it was absent. So anything that you went from working in a family business to having a division or a separate LLC, what doesn't matter, it's not relevant, but a separate thing with you and your brother, anything?
Yeah, I think it's very demanding to juggle all this.
Yeah.
You can't you don't want to dismiss that variable for anyone sort of listening and sort of seeing the outcomes and seeing hopefully that things look great and the products look great and there's two nice presentable businesses. But you certainly have to be eyes wide open about what you're committing to. And I would, for anyone listening that wants 2 cents of advice, you absolutely need to hire a great team
Mm.
that you trust, have really good systems, have your back office as organized as possible. There's so many things that are not exciting to talk about on a podcast, like having good structured data, IT, cybersecurity, all that stuff that allows you to like sleep well at night and just
Mm.
be efficient
Yeah.
in doing the things that you actually like to do because you
Yeah.
have things set up like foundationally uh, really well. And then, another answer that's not original, but the tariffs this year, no one saw coming. At least I didn't, and it really blindsided the industry. And I think we're all contending with tariffs, a housing market that is sluggish,
Mm-hmm.
and some people think the interior design industry is insulated to a degree. I have relationships with some top luxury interior designers that are telling me, hey, even to some degree, even they are starting to see some cracks in
Mm-hmm.
terms of how robust their pipeline is coming in. It depends on
Mm-hmm.
who you talk to. Some are totally fine, very
Right.
healthy.
Right. It is very up and down.
So,
Yeah.
we're all in this together, it feels like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's an interesting thing. When you take me back and say that you started December of 2024, you're right. Hey, let's go, Steve. Come on, this will be great. It's like, wait, what? Tariffs? Like, wait, what? We didn't plan on that, right? Like, nobody was even talking about tariffs in December of 24.
You have to be nimble.
Yeah,
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 100%.
yeah. I know. It's you know what? It's funny because I know that you've listened to the show, but when you said your first answer, literally my entire audience, you're like, well, you have to have good systems in place and you have to be tracking your data. And the audience is like, yep, she's told us that 15,000 times. So I think it's awesome that just what it is it's good business. And it says to me that, you got a smart head on your shoulders. So I always say somebody's a hashtag smart lady. You're a hashtag smart guy. That's
Oh, I appreciate that. I think my family and I round out each other well because my father wants nothing to do with that stuff. He wants to be designing and building the next showroom and doing all that stuff. So
Oh, that's good. And
it's all
what's
important.
Steve's lane? What's Steven's lane?
So Stephen takes a leadership role in product development as well.
Mhm.
Has a good like sort of like merchant side also in terms of connecting what is doable from a product design perspective with what the market wants at the
Okay.
price it needs to be at.
Okay.
um, he understands that world, and a lot of the strategy around Joon Loloi, what it should be for the market, what it shouldn't be, he helped shape a lot of those things also. And then all these new categories, the merchandising team that we have, the product development team that we have, uh, he leads up that team for Joon Loloi also, and that's a big undertaking with all of
Wow.
those brand new um, categories and how you bring those things to life, all the upholstery options you want to offer
Yeah.
made to order, and you have to go out to these new partners. We had the Loloi name, so it's not quite starting from scratch. We have to
They're
go out to them
answering
and
the
say,
phone
hey,
call, right?
hey, like, you know, you have to take a chance
Yeah.
with us and let's grow this thing together. And we're very grateful that people picked up our calls and answered our emails, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny because if you gloss over, I think you miss the depth of what Steven's job has to be. Like when you think about it, it's like I can love these 500 items, but if I can't sell them at a price point where the designer can make money, that the consumer will pay that dollar bill and we can make money, then we have to stop loving that item. Like, that's not an easy job. I think that's a really hard job to do. And for you to know that, you have the confidence in your brother the way you described it, that that's his lane and that's his superpower. That's awesome for you. It's great when that, like you said, when you have the people around you, maybe they come along because of their family, but you hire in addition, whatever it is, to have the people that have the different strengths, because you can't do it all, right, Cyrus? You just can't. It's not enough hours in a day.
No, no. And I have again so much respect for my father and what he built, truly bootstrapping it, by himself with just, a few other employees to start in the beginning. And um,
It's crazy.
it's a very difficult journey when
Yeah.
you're doing that. I have so much respect for those people.
Yeah. No, I mean, same for me when I hear stories about like your father. And I think that what he accomplished in half the years I was in business. And, there aren't big, huge showrooms all around the country with WindowWorks name on. I'm going to tell you right now. So it's like, whoa, in half a generation, you did that. So that's awesome.
Thank you. He loves a good showroom. He
Yeah.
loves a
Yeah.
good showroom. For any of your audience who's been, they know that. And if you haven't, come check us out. He very much invests in the showroom experience.
Yeah. Now, one thing before I let you go, should we talk about the collaborations with some of the designers? Is that an important aspect to share, or what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you have two designer collaborations active now on the rug side. I don't know if you have any on the other verticals, but
Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of, Loloi's DNA. We have the collaboration with Amber Lewis and Jeremiah Brand and so many that, I won't enumerate them all. And then we borrowed some things from the Loloi blueprint, and we like collaborating with these outside partners because it gives us fresh sort of design perspective in a way that feels very genuine also. So, Heidi Callier is, I think, what someone a lot of designers look up to and respect, and she's kind of a designer's designer. She has a very
yeah,
distinct point of view, is known for, has a penchant for pattern, and I think she brought that point of view in our partnership, and it was very collaborative in terms of the product design experience. She fed us ideas, mood boards. There was a nice alchemy between her ideas and her direction and our team and their experience and bringing those products to life. I think one of the best compliments we got when we launched that is, that feels very Heidi. And that to me is like a
yeah,
sign of authenticity, and that it's not just something that she slapped her name on. And then Lone Fox, aka Drew Michael Scott, is an amazing, like, talented content creator and media personality and designer, and he has like an interesting point of view on things too. So his last collection with us, he was inspired by men's like Western wear.
mm,
And so if you look at the products, we're not trying to be too literal with it, but there's these moments, these sort of hints that support that theme, like a lot of like plaid and sort of interesting textures reminiscent of that spirit. These things are fun. I think they energize the audience. Um, they're exclusive to us,
mm.
and yeah, we're very proud to work with these people.
That's awesome. I love it. You said the money line there. You said it that you literally said Heidi has a distinct point of view. And then you said that Drew has an interesting point of view. And we've had, Cyrus, I can't tell you how many conversations on how to effectively, work with a brand as a potential, ambassador or licensee like this. And, how do you attract it? And it's literally the core thing that everybody has said. Two big things come to mind. Well, three things come to mind of the 15 dozen conversations I've had with somebody who's going to tell us how to get a brand collaboration, right? Is the relationship first. You're a customer of that brand. Like you're not like, hey, I'm nobody and I don't care about you, but hey, can I make money off of you? Right. So the designer is a customer of that brand, that the designer has a point of view. Like that's very Heidi, right? Like that's literally what the brand is looking for. And then the third thing is that, you show up as a partner and you understand there's going to be give and take. There's going to be value engineering. There's going to be, you love that, but I can't do that, Miss Designer or Mr. Designer. And we've got to work that out. And it's a collaborative thing. And so, I'm sorry. And the fourth thing is your business has to keep running while you do this. You do have to have those foundational systems in place. So while you're off creating beautiful product with Loloi and Joon Loloi, your business doesn't fall apart. So does that all ring true to you? What you look for in brand partners?
I get this question a lot because Loloi does so many collaborations, and I think it's not a secret that Steve and I are involved in a lot of these conversations and sort of courting these folks or vice versa. I think the best way I can answer this question is like flip the question back to them and say, well, what are you looking for in the brands that you want to work with?
Right.
Like, well, I want a brand that's very reputable in the industry. Don't just want to work with any brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want a brand with a distinct point of view. I'd want a brand that sort of respects like my way of working and vice versa. And then to your last point, like outside of just my collaboration with them, I'd want this brand to continue doing like novel, interesting things to augment their sort of reputation in the industry,
Right.
so that it boosts, my affiliation with them also. I think like Stephen and I feel a great sense of responsibility to all of our licensing partners. And so we're not like casual about who we sign or how many folks that we sign. I know it may feel like we sign a ton, but we feel a great sense of responsibility as people because they've trusted their name next to ours. In the case of Joon Loloi, Heidi and Drew, they chose to sign with us before we even had a business name.
Wow.
They just put their full trust in Steven and me. We told them about the vision. We told them about the ideas. We made commitments to them and they trusted us. And Steve and I are in this industry for the long term. And we feel like if we do wrong by any licensing partner, any customer, whoever, someone like in the media, like you, doesn't matter. We're playing the long game, and that's not gonna bode well for anyone in the long term.
Right.
And so
right.
that's just our mindset for whatever we do.
Yeah. Well, my guess is that's probably the way you function as a human in all your relationships, not just your business relationships, right? It's like you apply those ethical principles, right? I love that. And I love the four criteria you mentioned because you're right. It's what you're looking for, but it's absolutely 100% flip it. It's like if you're bringing this and I'm bringing this, where's the downside, right? But if one of us is only bringing one or two of them, then it's not as strong a partnership. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So, okay. So they're going to go to joonloloi.com and they're going to sign up for a trade account. And I imagine they have to put some documentation in there and a resale tax number and all of that stuff to prove that they're not just Sally Smith who loves design that isn't really a designer, right?
That's right. All that essential stuff that most trade brands ask for.
Exactly. Is there anything that I didn't ask you about, Cyrus, that you're just thinking, oh no, we have to cover this one part? I'm trying to go through my mind. I feel like we know how to do business with you. We know the product categories. We certainly have gotten your philosophy and your point of view about business and relationships and branding, quality, anything come to mind?
Yeah, I think just, a lot of the things that we chatted about earlier and that commitment to doing things the right way on either side of the business, whether that's Loloi or Joon Loloi, and sort of Stephen and I were born into, born from the trade. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I think a lot of these like retail narrative from the 2010s was very like, hey, like, I looked around the industry and I noticed companies weren't doing this, this, and this, so I came up with a better way, and I cut out the middleman and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Steve and I sort of decided, what's wrong with being from the industry?
Yeah.
This is like, these are interior designers. They know product. They know what is good and what's not good. And so do retail store merchants, all these people that have helped build Loloi's business. This is Loloi is proudly serving the trade, and Joon Loloi is proudly born from the trade. It has that trade experience. So we feel like we're offering an insider's perspective on home, and this is just another chapter of the Loloi story.
I love that. I have to tell you, I think that that is a big plus for Joon Loloi as well, is not being essentially what you're saying. And what I heard, I'm going to paraphrase, is we're not outsiders. We're not outsiders coming from tech and trying to figure out how to sell furniture and rugs to you to make money. We're insiders, and we've observed that there's another lane inside here. You can all pretend it's not here, but we can see that it's happening. Like, maybe I'm not having these conversations on the podcast, but guess what? You know differently because you're from inside the industry. So I think it's a tremendous plus that you bring to the industry. And I think that for the designer, that this suits them and their needs. And maybe, as we said a few moments ago, you're a trade sourcing only designer, and there's a slice when you just need to finish out a project and get things delivered, and you want to order retail and get it done and take your discount and keep it moving. And maybe you're earlier in your career, or you have no team, and this is just the way you do it because you're finding that there are designers out there doing it this way. So I think it's smart. I think it's great. I'm so delighted to welcome you guys as a sponsor to the podcast. I'm really excited to have you here over the next several months and to really get to know you guys and the team more. So thank you, Cyrus, for being here with me today.
Thank you so much, Luann. I really, really enjoyed it. Big fan of the podcast. Thank you.
I have to tell you, I have so much respect for the way Cyrus and his family operate. That story about his father flipping burgers, learning English, and building a company that became an industry giant in 20 short years, that's incredibly impressive. And it's obvious that Cyrus and his family run their business with thought, intention, and integrity. That has always been true of Loloi. The artistry, the precision, the craftsmanship in every rug. There is real art in what they create. And now you can see that same level of intention with Joon Loloi. This wasn't a side project or an expansion for the sake of expanding. Cyrus and Stephen paid attention to how people shop today, and they noticed a newer generation of designers who sometimes want a more modern, simplified buying experience. Cyrus explained that they have found the designers are buying from Joon Loloi who, in fact, have never bought from Loloi. That tells you something, right? Cyrus and Stephen spotted a gap in the market, and they moved on it. Joon Loloi isn't just a lower-tier version of Loloi. It's a separate play built for different needs, different project models, and yes, different types of interior designers. The beauty of it for you is maybe not every project needs a full-service model. Sometimes your smartest move is speed and simplicity. You need the look fast without markup gymnastics or 12-week lead times. Maybe you're furnishing a model home. Maybe it's a short-term rental. Maybe the client's budget is tight and the deadline's tighter. And sometimes you are doing a full-service project, but maybe you're at the finish line and you look around and like a few pieces could be added to complete the project. You're not always going to want to run a few last-minute items all the way through your receiver again and do that whole rigmarole. You just need a dependable vendor who can ship quickly and match the aesthetic. And that's where a brand like Joon Loloi, with the legacy brand of Loloi behind it, with that trust and design credibility, that's where that makes sense. Cyrus said it the best. One of the biggest mistakes we can make in our industry is assuming all 80,000 designers in the U.S. alone run the same kind of business. I mean, come on, ain't that the truth, right? So they paid attention, they made a calculated move, and the market, you, responded. And here's the real key. With Joon Loloi, you're not sacrificing quality for convenience. This team knows the design industry from the inside out. Their name is trusted, and Cyrus respects the weight of that reputation. You could hear that in his conversation. Him and his brother are committed to bringing that same quality integrity, and intention to every single thing that they do with Joon Loloi. And that isn't easy, especially when you offer a full range of furnishings. But you can see the work and care in every detail and in the way they collaborate with you, the interior designer. So it might not be the right fit for every one of you or for every one of your projects, but it's clearly right for many, and that's what smart business is all about. Take advantage of it by joining the Joon Loloi trade program and receive 20% off exclusive furnishings that you can't get anywhere else. Head over to the website. It's linked in our show notes, and get started looking around and see how it fits into your business model. I love when we have lots of tools in our toolbox, right? So thank you, Cyrus, for joining me today, for sharing your family history, for sharing your vision that you and your brother have, and the story behind Joon Loloi. It's so incredible, and I wish you tons of luck on it. I'm sure it's going to be a big success. And thank you for listening and for showing up with me today. I really appreciate that. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Loloi and Joon Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Loloi University, go to luannigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.